Welcome. In the previous classes, we have explored chakras. We have completed the first chakra, that is the root, then the hips. So today we look at the third chakra, which is associated with your belly, this entire area. Now this belly chakra is associated with qualities such as willpower, determination, assertiveness, and we keep frequently hearing the term, do you have fire in your belly? So this is the chakra that does that. In addition to that, an entire important process in our body happens here, that is the digestive process. So we need to ensure that the food which we eat, the nutrition is easily carried to the other parts of the body, what we eat is properly absorbed, and what has to be separated has to be done clearly. So this pose or the poses associated with the third chakra takes care of that. Now we have one pose for that. It's called the boat pose or the Navasana. So let's go ahead and take a look at this boat pose. The boat pose comes in two varieties. One is the classic straight leg boat pose, which you see in the yoga magazines all the time, where you have people holding up their feet and hanging onto their feet with the balancing on their hips. So that's your classic straight leg boat pose. The second one is the easy version. So you can work yourself up from the easy to the straight version. So first let's take a look at the classic straight leg boat pose. First, bring yourself up your side. Gently bend your knees. From here, support your back with your hands. Take as much space you want at the back. Gently raise your leg. You can stay here. If this is what that works for you, stay here. Like we discussed previously, the wall is your best friend for all balancing poses. Please go to the wall either in front or in your back. The wall will help you balance until you reach a stage where you don't need the wall anymore. From here, bring your hands up here, and this is good. This is a good balancing pose if you can stay here. So this is the boat pose. From here, the classic boat pose is, please take up your strap and bind it around your feet, coming into the classic boat pose. Straighten your back. Here you can see that your hips act as a fulcrum. You are completely balanced on your hips, and you can even stay here the whole day. If you have the balance right, you can even stay here the whole day. You can increase the intensity by taking to the top. How much can you come here? You can see that. Be sure to breathe to get all the power you need. You can see that the belly is tightening up. So the class. Now, the second version of the boat pose is the easy version. For the second version of the easy boat pose, please go down onto the mat completely. Go down to the mat, lie yourself supine on the mat. From here, lift your both the legs in the air. Lift your both the legs and lift your head and support your head with one hand. Be sure to support your head with one hand. Do not leave your head hanging in the air. Now from here, other hand, I'd like it to be over your belly. You will soon see the reason why. Now gently with an inhale and exhale, just take one leg at a time. Exhale, inhale, exhale. Each time we are alternating the legs. We are not doing both the legs at the same time. With your other hand, see, just check when you do this legs, alternating of the legs, see what happens in your six pack, that is your core. You can see, can actually feel your six pack popping up. If you can actually feel those squares popping up. So this is your proof that every one of us has a six pack if that's what you're working towards. You can actually see them in motion. So this is your easy version of the boat pose, and you can do this as much as you have to. So that's the Navasana or the boat pose. So today, let's take a look at the fourth chakra, that is the chakra of the heart. The qualities of this chakra are love, compassion. Besides the saying, have a heart, that's where it comes from. The biological function of this chakra are the delivery of the life force itself, or our breath, to each and every corner of the body. And as long as this chakra is working well, we'll stay alive. Now, let's look at two poses that comprise of this heart chakra. They are the heart poses. So that helps open up your heart muscles and prepare you for any advanced poses that might come. Now, the first one is an easy version. The second one is a slightly advanced version. Once you do the first one, you move on to the second one. So let's get started. The first pose in the sequence is the open bridge pose. That's a Setu Mukta Sarvangasana. So we'll do it, if you can, I'll just take over to my side angle. Hope you can see what I'm up to. So first step would be just come back completely into the floor. Come back completely, gently relax. Do a little windshield wiper with your legs to just relax your hip muscles. Once that's done, bring your heels closer to your hips. In fact, I should be able to graze my heels with my fingers. Once that's done, the next step would be gently with an inhale. Go ahead and round your chest so that there's a gap in here. If you can see, there's a gap in here. Actually, someone can slip a hand or a kerchief through this side and take it out from this side. There should be gap. Now roll your shoulders up. You can see the rolling happen. When you roll it up, automatically you'll see the gap that develops. So you can see your chest opening up. From here, bring your hands up. You can just stay here. You are supporting your back spine by your hands. And please make sure that your neck is still on the floor. Make sure that your neck is not hanging in the air. It should be on the floor. Your chest is open. All that's lifted is your chest and your hands supporting on the side. So that's your Setu Mukta Sarvangasana or open bridge pose. You can stay here for 3 or 5 breaths. Now, if you probably noticed by now, I always bring my hands in this pose. My fingers are always in this pose. What this is called is a mudra in yogic terms. This is a way of conserving my energy. Any energy that's generated in my body, I trap it in this fashion. If you can see what I do with my hands here. So that traps the energy inside my body without letting it go out. So that's it. So you can see the kind of release that happens in the back. Your hips are on the floor, your neck is touching the ground. The only thing that's floating is your, you can see there's a space behind my back muscles. You can see that. Okay, when you're done, gently relax. Come back into the floor. From here, We'll continue to the second pose. Once you feel that you're sufficiently relaxed, your back muscles are relaxed, we'll move on to the second version, that is Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, meaning bound bridge pose. So for this to happen, same sequence, bring your feet to touch your hips as close as possible. Make sure your fingers are able to graze your heels. Once that's done, gently with an inhale, lift your hips. Lift your hips as much as you can. You can see that my hips are lifted. The next step would be roll your shoulders. Roll your shoulders and clasp your hands on the back. So you can see what's happening here. My shoulders are rolled, my neck stays on the ground, my feet stays on the ground. The lifting action comes from my chest. The breath is what that lifts my chest. You can stay here. Now from here you can do a small modification. Allowed to do this. You can gently exhale, come back. Don't touch the floor, just come back a little. With an inhale, go back. Exhale, gently touch the floor. With an inhale, go back. Do this for 5 breaths. So what's happening is, you can see that if you take your finger and point it towards your hip, if you can touch your hips with your fingers, you can see that your hips are rock hard. In other words, this pose is what that gives what they call the killer butt, what you see on the television. This is the pose that does it. You can just gently touch your hips from here. See what it does. A second thing that happens is, if you feel your abdomen muscles here, they can be a little bit tense. So you can work out on both the sides. Gently exhale, bring it down. With an inhale, come back up. You can stay here if you want to for 5 breaths, or you can just inhale and exhale with this movement. So this helps tone your entire hip, and you can see the chest open happening, the good workout happening on your spine. With an exhale, gently release, coming back onto the floor. Welcome to your life lesson of the day. Today the topic is being joyful, living a joyful life. So before I dive into that, it calls for a little story. Before I came into yoga, I used to do gym before, and one of my primary goals of doing gym was to get the famed six-pack abs. Towards this end, I did hire a trainer who put me onto this strict regimen of exercise and a strict diet. It so happened, after a couple of months, I did finally get that famed six-pack ab which I've been desiring from a long time. And my goal of getting the six-pack ab was very simple. I hoped that I would finally be happy and joyful, because that's what you see. People with six-pack abs, they seem to be always happy and joyful. So I wanted to just get there. But I noticed something else. After a couple of weeks, I was no longer happy and joyful. Something else had happened. Something had changed inside me. This is where yoga differs. The yoga works in reverse. The goal of yoga is to first bring you to a place of joy and contentment. You're not trying to reach a certain goal before you see that happiness. The yoga says clearly, first reach a place of joy and contentment, and everything will happen the way you want it. Your physical, emotional, and mental benefits will follow only if you reach a place of joy and contentment. Sounds simple, isn't it? Just by You should be able to just sit where you are in a day, do whatever you are doing in a day, still be happy and joyful. When that joy is bubbling inside you constantly on a given day, everything will work the way you want. The universe will find a way to work with you. The universe will wrap itself around you and work with you. So that is a simple trick. The next big question is, how do you be joy? How do you find joy and happiness every day in spite of everything that's happening around us? If you look around, if you turn on the TV, if you talk to another person, there's so many stressful things happening around us, and it's not easy to retain that joy. So here's a simple technique that has worked for me, and I have no doubt, I'm confident that it will work for you if you give it enough chance for it to work for you. So here's what you do. This requires you to do this the first thing in the morning. The first thing when you wake up in the morning, before you even step out of the bed, open your eyes and gently think of this paragraph. Think of this little thought in your mind. Just ruminate on this little thought for a good 1 or 2 minutes. This is as follows. Think about it. When you get up in the morning or the last night, close to 1 billion people went to bed, but not everyone woke up with you this morning. Estimates are close to 250,000 people never opened their eyes. They have passed away in their sleep. They have moved on to the next part of the journey. But you are alive. That itself is a gift. That is a blessing. You are one of the lucky people to be able to open your eyes and be able to think about this thought. Now, when someone is that lucky, what do? You want to spend the day thinking about how lucky you are to be able to continue on your journey of life. You want to ask yourself, what value addition am I bringing to this day? How can I be more happier today than I was yesterday? What way can I make the lives of my fellow human beings better today? The simple reason being that you've been given a gift of life. Yes, there will come a day when you and I will no longer get up in the morning and think this wonderful thought. And when that happens, it's okay. The fact that you have been able to live this life every day being a joyful person makes it all worth it. The fact that you have spent every day of the life being happy and joy, that's all you need. It doesn't really matter. You are ready to move on with the next part of your journey. So think about this little thought every day in the morning. It doesn't take more than 1 or 2 minutes, but you will see the difference it makes in your life the entire day. At the end of the day, if possible, just gently before you go to sleep, just think about how beautiful this day was, what all wonderful things you did today, and ask yourself how much you're looking forward to getting up next morning and doing something more joyful. That is the secret of being joyful and happy. When you can do this, you will naturally feel joy inside you. So please let me know how this works out for you, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.